So welcome to the impromptu coffee with the editor. I'm here at the Ignite SME Summit. It's actually been a fantastic day, learning new things about how we can further support and grow the SME environment. I happen to have bumped into a familiar face here at the Ignite SME Summit. Alstom.
Yes.
You're a big player.
Yes.
Especially in this environment.
Indeed. Indeed.
All right, so we had the opportunity to hear you talk about Alstom's role in supplier development, enterprise development, especially with the 4 joint ventures that you've got going on here in South Africa. I think if you could just contextualize some of the points that you made on stage, that would be fantastic.
Indeed.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Philippa, for this opportunity. We have a concerted effort as Alstom to ensure that we deliver on our mandates and contracts while taking our suppliers along with us. And part of that is ensuring that we develop a sustainable local supplier base that can actually compete at an international stage, so to speak. So one of the things that we are doing is we've got an active supplier development function within Alstom, and it's a global organization that's basically looking at industrial maturity building, ensuring that we both build on existing capabilities, but also to improve the capacity and efficiencies of existing suppliers. We also have other, enterprise development program, as I had referred, which are basically looking at, providing funding, financing options, favorable, payment terms for suppliers, and also over and above that, it's a continuous program. So we develop the suppliers, and we also make sure that we are part of their development journey with them.
Right at the beginning, specifically with the project, one of the things that came up was, the barrier to entry in terms of participating with Alstom, and you actually raised it today, and a lot of that had to do with, the compliance and the international standards. What were some of the criteria for you to land up choosing kind of suppliers that you went with or who you went with, and then the role of getting those suppliers to meet the requirements or the Alstom requirements? And then, what is the long-term benefit of that?
Indeed. Thank you. So with some of the suppliers that we met, we actually found some of them without, the qualifications that we require, the certifications that we require. But because we had a commitment to develop the supply chain, we then embarked on, different programs to ensure that we get these suppliers, the right level of certification. And also what that has done is actually built on for the suppliers to attract, more business opportunities, to attract more customers. And, I'll give an example. We have very specific welding requirements, right, for our products. And we require, therefore, the suppliers to have certain processes, procedures, as well as support functions in place. And what we have done in I would say engaging the suppliers, we have ensured that they are able to get, that requisite level of training for their people, setting up the processes, and that they are sustainable. And looking into the future, we are hoping that those suppliers in turn will be able to offer, for instance, training opportunities, artisanships, and so on, to develop others as well. And also, the journey of compliance is not, it's not a one-shot event either, because you constantly have to keep yourself in check. So in terms of governance, we go back and we have, for instance, our audit team that goes back to check on our suppliers in terms of, 3 years down the line, are you still compliant? Are you still having, your sustainable processes? Are you still holding the correct accreditations, to continue with your supply?
In terms of being a supplier to Alstom, whether you are here in South Africa, the way that you have been developed means that you could be supplying into a global project.
Yes.
I think give us some context.
So part of the qualification processes and the certifications that our suppliers actually undertake, they are set at an Alstom global standard and also are compliant to international rail standards. So when we go out and qualify suppliers, we are not qualifying them solely for I would give an example, the PRASA program or the TREX program or the Gautrain maintenance program. We are actually qualifying them to enable them to produce and to supply components that are manufactured in South Africa with South African materials, empowered, skilled South Africans to supply those to companies offshore or overseas, other Alstom sites or any other multinationals that might have an interest in South Africa as a best cost country.
You mentioned some figures. They were quite big figures in terms of how much has been spent on supplier development and on training. Just contextualize that for me.
Yes. So over the past, I would say almost 10 years, particularly on the Gibela Programme, there has been about 96 million rands that has been spent on training, just on training. And then a further 66 million spent on localization and another 83 million rands spent on supplier development. So there we've got different pockets, I would say, of initiatives that we embark on to make sure that we don't only deliver a localized product, but also we do so with empowered suppliers, with empowered and skilled personnel, including our own. I'm one of the beneficiaries of, those training programs. And this is to ensure that whatever the investment is that is made today, that it is sustainable. And also that these, the companies that we engage with, they're able to sustain their businesses beyond the contracts that they have with us.